Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. All right, folks, the holidays are over. Now you got to catch up on some things. So you need a team to help you be in multiple places. Folks, Mary and her team at Simply Done Concierge can help you do that, catch up on some things, get back into your regular routine. You'll go to simplydoneconcierge.com, fill out a little form on what you need and how quick you need it, and the team will get there, and I know you'll be happy. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. And Happy New Year to everybody. And our first guest of the year, let me back up. I been a couple weeks. Let me get back into my routine here. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle and the surrounding towns, Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Each week we have 32 chapters, almost 600 members. We get together and help each other grow our businesses. And our first guest of 2024, a local small business success story, Ashley Walker, owner of Walktall Elevation. Ashley is a member of Smithfield Strategy Chapter. They meet Tuesday mornings at 8:15 at the BIA offices in Smithfield. Ashley, good morning and Happy New Year. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. Hope you are.
I am glad to have you here. Ashley is a business trainer, a coach. She works with businesses and individuals on personal and professional development. So a lot to talk about here. She's a wife, a mom, a business owner, an author, an outdoors woman. We're going to get to a lot of things. It's going to be a lot of fun. So new year means new goals, Ashley. I know you've had people talk about, oh, I'll just wait till the new year to do that. So let's talk from a business standpoint. Business goals, what kind of things should we realistically be targeting?
Man, realistically be targeting for
Because
2024.
we all have a list of 28 things that sound great to do, but we realistically don't get to all of them. So,
Right. Right. Sure. Let's start with one big word. It's priorities.
mhm.
Priorities. What's most important to you? And then everything aligns from there.
And then you've got to get team buy-in if you
Hmm.
have a team. And what are some of the better ways to share those with folks?
Yeah. Mission, vision, and values. So what is your mission? What are you doing? Where's your vision? Where are you going? And then values. What do you stand on and stand behind? And you need people that are not only willing to do that, but able to do that as well and want to do it. So that's the big one for team: mission, vision, and values.
And I love the values part of it because we buy value. And so I'm going to separate values and value here for a second. But because we can find everybody's competitors, we can find if we need our lawn cut, we can find somebody to do that. That's not a problem. But when we look for businesses or services or products, a lot of times with consumers, we want to buy value. And it may mean two extra dollars. It may mean tomorrow instead of today. But a lot of those come into the values of the company of what they do and who they are. And I don't think people realize that a lot of times that's truly what they're buying
Yeah.
versus a transaction.
Right. Right. And a lot of times we don't necessarily buy the product. We
Mm-mm.
buy the person that's pushing that product. And do we believe in what they have and what they're doing? So yeah, not only your team knowing those values, but your customer knowing those values as well.
When you work with clients, what kind of values do they want to get through to their clients?
Man, it's all across the board,
Mm.
right? So it's individual to each business owner. The customer being important, being first is big time. Something that clients are looking for. Um, And then honesty and integrity. We live in a world that not it used to be a man shakes a man's hand
Mhm.
and that was it. And it's not so much that anymore. So if you can be that difference, if you can be that those old those old values
Mhm.
sometimes is how we look at them. Those are a big deal that I think that, going back to the basics is really important, and clients look for that.
And I don't think people realize when you say you're going to be there at 2 o'clock today and you're actually there at 2 o'clock today, that that's worth something.
Right, right, yeah.
Versus, I don't know if you remember back in the day, and I hate to bang on the cable companies, but they say, yes, we can be out there, Mrs. Walker, on Thursday. You'll need to be home between 1 and 5.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's do I respect you? And
yeah.
if I do, I'm gonna do what I said I'm going to do, and we get that things happen and things come up, but yeah, it's a big time thing about respect as well.
The other part that you always talk about is personal development.
Mhm.
And we forget, as business owners, we forget about that a lot because we're so focused on the business, the bottom line, keeping the doors open, which is important.
Right.
But we forget about the personal development. Do you struggle getting people focused on talking about personal development in the big scheme
Man.
of things?
It's pretty and we like it and we wanna do it, but when it comes down to actually investing in it,
Mm,
intentions are great and wonderful, but if we don't follow through with our intentions, it's difficult. And that is a struggle a lot of times, is getting people to follow through on the intentions. I was reading this morning at Proverbs 3:5. It's, you would say things are random, but we won't. It's talking about going after wisdom and how wisdom is so important, and having that in our life, but not just wanting it, but actually following through and going and getting it. So yeah, to answer your question, it's not that it's not hard to get them to want it, it's harder to get them to act on it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've been trying to do for 2024 is be more efficient with my time. I know I'm the only person that gets distracted easily, so it may be a couple of tough
Yeah.
questions for you to answer. But I'm trying to figure out whether it's time blocking, whether it's turning the TV off. I have to have some ambient noise of some sort in the room.
Mhm.
Silence is my kryptonite. So whether it's volume level 2 or something, just some music in the background, just something. But time management is important, and it's hard to do. How do I get better at this?
Yeah, so number one, coping skills, right? It sounds like you found one. Silence isn't your favorite
Yeah.
thing. And so having those coping skills, but another little factor that I love to think about is trivial, important, and impactful. So when you are looking at what you're doing, is it trivial, the things that maybe you want to do that are fun to do,
Ah,
but they're not that important,
yeah.
or maybe even things that are important, but they're not impactful. So being impactful would be picking up the phone and calling that person, whereas scheduling something that could happen later, yes, that's important, but it's not necessarily impactful. Or playing this thing on my phone that doesn't really matter, but it's cool. That's your trivial. So sitting down, and you can do it by different things. You can time block, you can day A, day B, but sitting down and asking yourself, what in my life, if I had to do 10 things in the next week?
Mhm,
Okay, so write down those 10 things. Which ones are trivial? Which ones are important? And which ones are impactful? And I would suggest to start with the impactful,
mm.
then go to the important and the trivial.
How do I find the best place to write it down so I can see it all the time and I know where it is to look at it?
Yeah, well, it depends on if you're that pencil paper kind of person or if you're technology based.
Mm,
The two different ones, if you always have that notebook with you, I have a notebook with me 24/7. I call it my second brain, so I don't have to remember everything.
mm,
But then that note section of my phone is always with me. It's always either in my hand or my back pocket. And between those two things, so are you, look at yourself. What kind of person are you? Are
mm.
you a pencil paper and you always have that notebook with you? Or do you like the technology and you have this one place in your notes that you go back to and you refer? So it kind of is more based off of what is your style and what do you like?
Yeah, and I'm a visual person and I'm marginal but improving on technology.
Hmm.
My My problem is I've got like 6 places where I've written things down.
Mm.
How do you help your clients with that? Because I know I'm not alone in this world doing that, right?
No, we're not alone. It's what it sounds like is that maybe you haven't found what feels right for
Yeah.
you, because sometimes when we find what feels right for us, it's, that path is easy.
Mm.
It's easily seen and it's not confusing. So finding what works for us, and that's difficult at times, right? So that's when we can do things like work with a coach, or
Mm.
we could try something for a little while and see if it works. And if it doesn't, zero in and see what's going on and what's underneath it. Um, if you're just struggling with it's all over the place, maybe cut out some of the options. A confused mind says no. And so
Ah.
when we cut out some of the options and say, maybe only these two
Yeah.
notebooks, or it's really, we're all individual, and so we have to find what works
Mhm.
for us individually is a thing too.
Alright, give me that line about again about a confused mind.
Confused mind says no. So if we're confused about something, if we're overwhelmed about something, fear, ego tells us, no, don't do it. There's risk in this. Go back to what you know. And
Yeah.
and until we know, we will typically say no.
Wow, I like that. Okay, I wrote that down. I'm gonna remember that. At what point in time in a person's let's start with the professional part of this. In a person's business career, do they realize I need to talk to somebody or I'm reaching out to Ashley? What triggers those calls of why
Yeah.
people come to you?
Yeah, well, if they've never started the business before, they're ahead of everyone else. That's where I would get one.
Mm, yeah, true.
It's being proactive instead of reactive. The cool thing about working with someone, having that teammate, that coach, that person alongside of you, is that they're going to take the hard and make it simple a
Mm,
whole lot faster than you can do it for yourself. So my question would be, at which point in your business would you like to take the hard and make it simple faster?
yeah.
Now, if you're just starting your business, that's where it's at. If you're knees deep and you're struggling, that's where it's at. I in any business that I have from the beginning is where I want to coach.
Mm.
But through every business that I already have, I'm gonna have one alongside of me.
My brother has 2 kids and he's told them for years, at some point in time, you're going to have to pay the price.
Hmm.
Usually you get to choose. So do
Hmm.
you want to pay it early on or do you want to pay it later? And man, oh man, that's some of the best advice I've heard somebody give to their kids because you're right. It's
Yeah.
and a lot of it is working out or saving money. At some point in time, it's going to hurt when you want to
Hmm.
do that. So I'm with you. And at the beginning, to have somebody with you, because what I've learned in small business is that accountability person to
Right.
not only
Right.
bounce ideas off of you, but more importantly, call you and say, Mike, it's Monday. You said you're going to have this done by Friday. Why wasn't it done?
Right.
You're like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
matters. It matters. I know you enjoy being part of that with your clients.
Absolutely. The thing we do as coaches, the basis bottom of it is accountability, support, and guidance.
Mm,
So wherever you need that, if you need that accountability because you struggle to make something happen and you struggle to stay consistent, if you need the support because, sometimes it's true, it's lonely at the top. And if you're at that business owner level and you don't have a lot of other business owners around you, you want that support. And then the guidance of having somebody that's been there, done that
mm.
before. There's a lot that we don't want to learn the hard way. And so when you have someone that's already been there and done that, man, that's worth its weight in gold right there.
Yeah, one I've learned many things through BNI, and one of them is generally there's always somebody where you want to be.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So take them out for a cup of coffee. Ashley, how did you build a business from day one with no presence in the marketplace? You just showed up and opened a business and just get little nuggets from them on, Mike, here are the 2 things I wish I'd have done. Or here's the one thing I'm glad I did. Whatever it is, they're going to share something with you because something worked. And a lot of people are hesitant, back to your point, of asking others for help.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's hard to do it by yourself from the beginning, especially if you maybe you are a worker mentality. You like going to work for someone else, but something changed in life and now you want to be this business
Mm,
owner. It can be really difficult switching over. And in business, we'd like to say it's all finances and analytics and data, but a lot of times it's emotions and limiting beliefs and personal trauma
mhm.
and all the things that are keeping us from being as successful and winning. And so diving in and having someone to do that with,
Yeah.
yeah, makes all the difference.
Yeah, and a lot of small business is blocking and tackling, just
Hmm.
over and over every day. You repeat it, you hustle, you whatever you call it, but a lot of that is just effort.
Yeah,
Uh,
agreed.
so you have 6 other coaches, correct?
Yes,
All right. Day 1 when you opened Walktall Elevation, was it just you?
it was just me. Yeah.
All right. And how long before somebody else came aboard?
Man, right at 3 years before we
Okay.
had coaches. Yeah.
All right. Do the other folks, do people focus on certain areas to help clients, or you guys have the same thought process on the way you help clients?
Yeah, so someone will typically come in for what they'll think of as an issue or
Mm,
a struggle, right? And we meet them where they are. Um, but it bounces back and forth. And a lot of times people will come in and they want to talk professional. And then by the end of the session, they are so deep in their personal stuff.
yeah.
But if you've had an argument with your spouse that morning, it's definitely going to fall into your day that day. So having a coach that'll work with you on that personal professional, or, one call you might be talking about your physical health, where the next call you might be talking about building your team.
Mm.
It all plays in. We are not, we'd like to subcategory ourselves, right? But we are a whole. And so each coach that you work with on Walk Tall Elevation is going to have their strengths and where they love to work. And that's kind of how you'll get divided up in the beginning. But all of them are well equipped to help in essentially any area. The skills of coaching are the same, and just where we dive in might be a little different.
Yeah, and for folks that have never owned a small business, and I always call small business ownership stressful freedom,
Hmm.
because you can take every Friday off if you want, but you better make up those 8 hours of business, and there's a lot of stress because you're the last line of defense. But your business is impacted by your family, and your family's impacted by your business. And you're right, it
Hmm.
is 24/7 with both holding hands.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so tell me how the name came about.
Okay. So I am 6'2". If you can't tell that from me sitting down right now, I'm 6'2". So there's the tall. And my last name is Walker, so walk tall. But really it is far more than that. I believe in doing things in a certain manner. We want to show up with integrity. We want to carry ourselves in a way that is um top notch, that we're giving you everything that you've paid for and more. It's that concept of under promise and over deliver. And so when you work with Walk Tall, it is we're going to teach you how to stand up, put your shoulders back, have that confidence, but we're also going to handle ourselves in that same manner.
Now, you graduated East Carolina with a degree in elementary education and teaching.
You've been doing your research.
Oh yeah, I have
That
my
was a
mo.
long time ago.
I have my moments. Yeah, that's so long ago. Actually, you're so old. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, uh, so, how did we get from teaching to coaching?
Well, that's a story in itself right there. So I began teaching and then I had my first son. He's 13 now, but I did not um when I do something, I do it full, right? And so I was seeing the struggle of how am I going to be the type of mom that I want to be and the type of teacher I want to be. And man, there was just not enough time for both of those to get their full what I wanted to give them. So I decided to stay home with Justin. And from there, I created a financing company where we went in and we took mobile homes. We bought them for an affordable price. We flipped them. We held the note on them. And essentially, we were Wells Fargo. So we were giving financing to people that wanted these mobile homes, holding the note, having the interest, and moving on from there. That was great and wonderful because I was not doing any remodeling. I was just Wells Fargo with the bank. So it allowed me to, it was passive income, essentially, is what it was. So it allowed me to do other things. I ended up getting divorced, went back to teaching, again, decided that was not something that I wanted to do, stepped out of that, went to direct sales. Direct sales work for those that know how to work it. I was the top 2% in the company. I had a team of 150 underneath me, 152 the day that COVID happened. And I said, man, we're not going to be able to go do these in-home parties anymore. So I need to do something that is going to be productive of my time, right? That personal development. So I went back and I went for my master's degree. And fun story here, I I went I went to do consulting because I thought coaching and consulting were the same thing. They are not. They're far apart. But I signed up signed the line for the $30,000 master's degree and realized about 3 weeks in that this is completely different. But the thing about coaching is that we're going to decide what works best for you. And then it's going to be able to be consistent. So when I realized that coaching had this power, I said, man, the world needs this. So I kind of dropped the concept of the consulting and I dove into coaching 100%. And then from there, I decided that, I was doing both. I was doing the direct sales and the coaching, and I decided, I'm really just holding on to direct sales because it's easy for me and it's, a money maker. But I wanted to have that jump off the cliff with coaching, and I knew I could not give full dedication to it while I was still holding on to a safety net. And so essentially that's where it came from.
Were you okay? So let's go back to you as a student at ECU.
Oh boy.
All
Yeah.
right. So when I was in school, there were people like you. I would call you curve busters because I would get an 83 on a test, thinking like, "Ooh, if I get 4 more points, I'll get a B." Back in the day, a B was 86 to 93. Back in my day, okay.
Yeah.
And then there were people like you that got 98 and shot the curve for people like me. Is that what you did in school?
No, I'm gonna surprise you. C's get degrees, bud. C's to get degrees. I was enjoying my college time and yeah, no.
I have yet to meet a graduate of ECU that did not enjoy their time there.
Yeah, I am the only person, I'm the only person that I know that graduated on time. That was my proud moment, right? I
Yeah.
didn't even need an A to be proud. I was the only person I knew to graduate on time. And for local people that are listening to this, my uncle told me, he said, it's not ECU, Ashley, it's
Yeah,
EZU.
I know.
It's easy to get in, hard to stay in.
My brother went there and had a blast, and all, like I said,
Yeah,
all the graduates I've met had a blast there. So,
yeah.
so the financing business company,
Mhm.
how did that come about in a conversation to becoming a business?
Yeah, so I have an eye for seeing things that can make money. I also have an eye for need. And so when you take the two, when you see a need and
Mhm.
you say, how can I do this in a way that I'm going to receive the blessing and someone else is going to receive the blessing? That's a core value for me, is that not only am I able to put food on the table, but I need the person that is receiving my service to also have that blessing. It is completely different when you're able to do that. It looks like we're having some glitches.
Yep.
We good?
Keep going.
Okay. So I was able to see the need that, there are a lot of people that want home ownership,
Mhm.
but they are not able to have that home ownership. So I saw the need and fulfilled.
Wow. Alright, that had to without asking numbers, that had to take some capital to carry some notes and get started, right?
A little bit, yeah, not too
Okay.
bad.
Alright, was that difficult to put together?
No.
Good. Good for you.
No. When yeah, when it's not maybe it's a little more right now
Mhm.
in this market. But when I started and you've got to see how you can lower your risk. So if you have a mobile home and I was looking at ones that were in a park, so you weren't having to buy the land with them. How can you lower the risk, right? How can you make it where you can get that investment quicker? So if I were to go and I were to buy $100,000 mobile home on land, yeah, that's going to take a long time. But I was going in and buying $5,000, $6,000 mobile homes in a park. So I was able to lower the
Oh.
investment needed.
Do you think you'll eventually get back to something like that again?
Maybe so. Maybe so. I have the reason I'm not in it right now, specifically, just a little bit on the side, I have a 6-year-old that is not as easy as my first.
Which is why we had a second because the first one was easy. We had the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The first one, I was the perfect mom. I could tell
Yeah.
you how to raise every child you ever had. The second one, we're all just high-fiving and hanging on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of parents, that's the reason why there are many second kids in families because of yeah, so I
Mhm,
like that. Alright, so one of my favorite questions for, people on the show that are married, your husband, Jonathan,
mhm.
how did you 2 meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
Oh man, I have the funnest stories. Okay, so I met Jonathan. I actually met him when I was married to my first husband, but no worries, it was all good. I met him and my first husband was deployed and he asked me to dance and I told him no, I was married, all the things. And he said, now I'm 6'2", right? He said, I just want to dance with a woman I could look in the eyes. So I danced with him, right? One dance, he was terrible. Don't tell him. Uh, but I spent the rest of the evening telling him how he was dating the wrong type of women. He was dating 19, 20-year-olds. He's 29. And so I was mothering him
Yeah.
is what happened. And time happens, things go on, and I ended up meeting him again about a year and a half later and told him life was different if he wanted to do lunch. So yeah, and he would tell the story the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a great pickup line. I don't think I've ever heard
Oh,
that
he's
before.
smooth, man. He's smooth.
And how do you say no, right?
Right.
So, when and where was the first date?
I picked him up from the airport. We had talked on the phone, um, and Justin, we were supposed to have a date before, but Justin wanted to spend time with his mama, and I told him no. So he thought I stood him up, and so he told me that he was going home on emergency leave. He was really going home on regular block leave, and so I picked him up from the airport after talking on the phone for about 3 weeks, which was beautiful because we really got to know each other in a different way. When you're not side by side, you're actually to have those real deep conversations and things. So yeah, I picked him up from the airport and I think we went and got some food and that was about it.
Some romantic drive-in place, something like that, right?
Yeah,
Barbecue
yeah,
place here.
similar.
Yeah. How many different cities have you lived in?
Mm, uh, a lot, a lot. Probably, if I didn't sit here and count, probably 12, 13, something like that.
What was the best military situation, city or base you lived
Um,
in?
Yeah, best military. So John is a recruiter, so we get in small places in the middle of nowhere. But my favorite probably was Colorado Springs, Colorado, for the military actually being on post and having all of that,
All
those
right.
luxuries.
Is there a particular town you don't care to go back to, having been stationed there? Oh, you with me?
Can hear you now, yeah.
Okay. Is there a particular town you do not care to go back to that you were stationed at?
Colorado Springs, Colorado.
All righty. Um, so
Yeah.
what was the best thing about being a student at Cape Fear High School?
Oh, I played basketball and I
Okay.
was rather good at it.
Okay.
So that was, external validation is a wonderful thing that
Mhm.
we all seek. And I got a lot of it there.
All right. The beach come into play during class time?
Man, I feel like you've done some private eye work or something.
I'm a talk show host at heart, so yep.
Say, wow.
Yep.
So the beach is probably about 2 hours from where I
Mhm.
went to high school. But in the summers we were there all the time. And then I actually moved to the beach after or
Mhm.
during the middle of college, and drove back and forth. But yeah, I lived on the weekends in the summers. My grandmother has a beach house at Topsail, and that is where I called home for a long time.
Was there any thought to playing college basketball somewhere?
No, no, I broke my mama's heart on that one. I was done. When I got to make my own choices, I
Yeah.
was done.
Did you enjoy playing in high school?
Um, I enjoyed I enjoyed this. Okay, so you're talking to a mindset coach right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I enjoyed what it brought. I
Mhm.
enjoyed the validation we were talking about. I
Yeah.
enjoyed, everybody wants to be great at something and to be noticed for it. So I enjoyed those things. Did I necessarily enjoy the sport itself? There were a lot of beautiful things that came out of it. Um, I guess expectations were the thing that turned me off about it. I was expected to do it. I was
Mhm.
6'2". I was expected to be the best. So there's a lot that I had to live up to
Mhm.
with that. That, and all the people in my world did was put me into the place that I was able to succeed
Mm.
based off of what God had naturally giving me. And so nobody was at fault for it, but it did put a lot of pressure on, a young growing up girl.
Were you a physical basketball player?
Physical basketball player. I fouled out almost every game, if that's what you're asking.
That's where I'm
Yeah, I
headed,
was
yeah.
reminded of that the other day. I'd save that last foul to the very end, but I fouled out almost every game.
Now, because you were trying to block a shot or the player just needed to be fouled?
They needed to move out of my way. I had things to do, places to be, things to accomplish, and I needed them out of my way.
And sometimes the
It's
referee
almost like a
disagreed.
completely different person we're talking
Yeah.
about now.
And the referee sometimes disagreed with you and said you did not need to move them that hard. Right?
Yeah, yeah, essentially.
So where did your height come from?
Well, I'm taller than both of my parents. My dad he's six, well, he says he's 6'2".
We all do.
I'm 6'2" as well, and we are not the same height.
We
And then my mom
yeah.
is 5'11", so
Okay, all right. So grandparents, nope,
not
not
really. I'm
particularly
the
tall?
tallest out of all of them that I know of.
All right. So are your boys showing signs of being tall?
Yeah, definitely, for
Okay.
sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Which means they're
Yeah,
gonna
Justin's 13. He's about 5'10".
okay.
Jackson's hitting probably high waist right now. He's
All right.
5.
Which means they're gonna eat a lot growing up.
They already are, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that food bill, you might wanna hire another coach because that food bill and the shoe bill and the laundry bill, because the bigger boys get, the more they eat and the more they stink. I just want you to know that.
Yeah,
So,
I'm learning.
did you
I'm
do you
learning.
do you have a brother?
I have 2 stepsisters. I'm Cinderella, so
Ah,
yeah.
okay. Right. So this boy thing's kinda new, huh?
It was, and I thought both of them were gonna be girls. The doctor said that the mama knows best, and 99% of the time, the mom can tell you what she's having, and I thought I
I
was having 2 girls.
I don't know where you got that number from.
That's what he told me.
My favorite is when Becky, my wife, we'd be walking through a grocery store down the sidewalk or something, and some nice old lady with well-meaning intentions. Oh, you look wonderful. You're going to have a girl. You're carrying her high. And then a week
Yeah.
later, we'd meet a different woman, same intentions. Oh, you're going to have a girl. You're carrying, or a boy. You're carrying it high. It's like, who knows? But
Yeah.
but I learned one thing: do not walk up and touch the stomach of a pregnant woman you do not know, because you think,
Yeah.
oh, they'll love it. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
But the number of predictions we got, we had two boys and a couple of people, including a family member. Oh, it's a girl. That's the way I carried my daughter.
Yeah.
No, no, it's not. So, but it's kind of funny that way. And to see, so does Justin have any sports skills that he wants to display anywhere?
Justin loves outdoors.
All
So
right.
he's not necessarily like the football, the basketball. And obviously, from how I just talked about basketball, I don't necessarily push those things. But he's in Boy Scouts and
Ah, okay.
he
All right.
loves outdoor. He loves nature. Like I said, we
Yeah.
got dirt bikes and four wheelers. He got a dirt bike. His little brother got a four wheeler for Christmas. And anything outside, anything camping,
Cool.
survival skills, all the things.
Oh, so he's going to be on one of those reality shows one day,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Mama's building the homestead for him to learn how to work it and make it all happen.
Nice. All right. So real quick, one more visit back to sports. So if one of your boys were to play, what kind of mom would you be in the stands, do you think?
I am the loud mom. I am the loud mom. You will know I'm there. And it's fun because that's who my mom was as
Ah,
well.
okay.
I didn't look to my mom. I mean, I didn't look to my coach. I used to get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
My coach would tell me what to do, and I would look to my mom for what to do.
All right. Did your mom play basketball?
She did.
Ah, okay. All right. Did she know more than the coach?
I'm sure she did.
Just ask her, right?
I'm
Because
sure.
it's funny watching parents having both our boys played sports, and I coach quite a bit of their teams. And it's
Mhm.
interesting to watch parents in the stands. Sometimes the ones you don't think will
Yeah.
bark at the ref. It's like, oh, didn't think we were getting
Yeah.
that penalty. But
Right.
it is funny watching that in the stand. So, so living on 7 acres or so has its advantages when you want to get outdoors.
Absolutely. So we're not there yet. We're building. So we're in a transition
Ah,
state right now. We go out there and we got the four wheeler and the dirt bike to be able to be on the land, right?
okay.
Until the house is completely built. But I am so excited and ready for that for sure.
So, are you a hunter?
I know how to hunt. I
Okay.
know how to do all the things. I don't necessarily do it. That's what the boys go and do.
Right. So you're not gonna be a bow hunter or anything
Yeah, I
like
don't
that?
see it.
No
I'd rather
desire?
sit in, that personal development. I'd rather sit in my hammock and read a book
Yeah,
and wait for them to come home.
and brag about what they bought, killed,
Yeah,
and here's what we're having for dinner, mom, look.
yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
nice, nice, nice. All right. So real quick, we've been putting Ashley's phone number on the screen here. If you have any thought of personal and or professional development, please give Ashley a call. Uh, she'll help you. She'll answer questions, see where it leads. We're the first part of January, Ashley. So we've got, um, I think I heard that the second Friday of January is the day that most people cancel their New Year's resolutions. So, like, okay, so we're going to assume we're people who are listening today are achievers and want to be overachievers. So they're still playing everything.
Yeah.
What's one or two things we need to put down on paper and then activate to get the new year off to a good start?
Like we talked about in the beginning, those priorities. What is
Mm,
important to you? Expectations are a big thing, and lots of people have expectations. But what do you want for yourself?
yeah.
What does it look like when you are happy, when you are whole, when you are living life from a place of contentment? And who's in your circle? Who's in your world?
Ah,
What does it look like? So how do we create that life? And maybe it might look a little different and
okay.
it might sound a little different. So we want to start there in those priorities. And then number two would be, who is your team? What is your team? What do they look like? Are you doing it alone? And if so, why? Um, that's wild and
Yeah.
crazy right there all in itself. And you know, it's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. So maybe you don't have the income or the profitability to be able to go in and to hire a full team, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a team. So dive in and see, you know, what resources do I have available to me that I'm just not using?
Yeah, when I talk to business owners or business professionals, usually people think, oh, you're a business owner, so it's all about money. And I always ask them, what lifestyle do you want to lead? And let's work towards that because like with me, I just want to be flexible. I've got
Mhm.
two grandkids in Charlotte and one in Florida. So
Yeah,
I just want to be able to, with my businesses and all the things I do, is just be able to travel and still, keep things moving. Whereas others may want a beach house, and it doesn't matter what they want. But a lot of times when you start talking lifestyle, people are very happy to set goals on that because they usually know what they want on that.
right, right. And you know, it's to be able to give is the
Mhm.
best gift,
Yep.
right? So if you are setting yourself up, and we need finances, we need those things, but if it wasn't just about the money, what would it be about?
Yep.
And that's where we get into that core of who are you and what does it look like and what do you want to do with that? And there, like I said with mine, to be able to be blessed, but also be a blessing. And what does it look like when your goals align with carrying out your purpose and also helping others at the same time?
Nice. All right. Well, Ashley, thank you for being on the show today. Good luck with the house and 2024 with the business. And I'm sensing there'll be a new business at some point in time added to the Walktall umbrella because now we've known each other for a few months through BNI, but
Yeah.
this chat today has really opened my eyes that you just don't care to sit still.
Serial entrepreneur, right?
Yep.
Like it's to be able to build a business and that's why I love helping other people build those businesses was because to build it to get it to its highest capacity that serves us and then either decide do we want to build bigger, add more people, or do we want to move on to something else that fits our a different lifestyle. My husband says that I will be a heart surgeon 5 years at a time eventually.
5 years at a time. I like that. He's been paying attention, hasn't he? So,
Yes.
all right. Well, again, Ashley, thanks for being on the show here. And folks, give Ashley a call if you have some questions. She'll get you pointed in the right directions. And we'll see everybody next week on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.